Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be talking about popular series that I haven't got to but I really want to, and this is a list, and they have some books on there that I'm kind of less normally comfortable to read, but I want to step out of my comfort zone and read these books because they are so popular and people love them so much, and I hope I do too, but I'm only slightly worried that the hype is too much. And I hate when you get to a book and the hype is so much and then it just falls flat, because then it's just like, oh, I really wanted this to work but it didn't. But yeah, so let's just get into the video. Okay, so the first one I want to talk about is the Throne of Glass series. I see this everywhere, like it's all over Instagram. Whenever I go on my Instagram feed, everyone's always talking about how much they love it. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, this is the best book. It's such a great fandom to be part of. And I'm just like, I've never read it and I want to get to it. I think one reason it's been held off for so long is just the length of the series and how big all the books in the series are. But I'm not gonna use that as an excuse anymore. I want to get to this series. It's basically about this girl who is an assassin and she gets locked up by the royal people, and then they ask her if she wants to be the royal assassin, and that's kind of the only way she's going to live. That's all I know about it. That is the first book, and I want to be able to relate to people when they make references to the characters. I want to be able to understand what they're talking about instead of just being like, yeah, okay, pretending I understand when I have no clue. Zero clue of what's going on. So yeah, that is definitely the first series. I think out of all of them, it's probably, actually no, I was gonna say it's the most like popular, but I don't think so. There's one that's definitely more popular than it. Okay, so the next book that I want to get to is the Harry Potter series. This is probably more embarrassing than the last one that I haven't read, and this is definitely the one that's on here that's the most popular. This book basically follows a boy called Harry who gets a letter inviting him to come to Hogwarts and like learn to be a wizard. So if you haven't heard of this book, you must literally be under a rock, because it's everywhere. Everyone talks about it, everyone loves it. I don't think I've ever met someone that doesn't like the series. Like, they may not love it, but they definitely like it, and that's why I really want to get to this. I have it on my shelf. I literally don't know like what my excuse is for not reading it. I have the first one, I also have the second one, I have the third one, so like now it's just me needing to pick them up. I think in my head I'm like, you know what, but like if you read the first three, then you're gonna have the rest that you don't have. But that's not an excuse. Like, I might as well just get started, and I want to have one of those books and be part of that kind of fandom where it's just like crazy and everyone like truly loves it, and no one's here just like, yeah, I kind of like it. Everyone's like, wow, this is the best book ever written. That's what I want to be part of. So that's definitely the next one. Okay, so the next one is another one that's really popular. It's just like Harry Potter, is very popular outside of the whole reading like bubble. Like, people that don't even know BookTube or Bookstagram even exists read this, and that's The Hunger Games. The thing is, this is the other thing, like there's films on these, like why is that incentive enough? Normally that is incentive enough to get to them, but I think the hype is what really makes that incentive just to be. I'm like, oh, but like it's so hyped, what if it's rubbish? But The Hunger Games is like this whole big game where you either win or you lose. If you win, wow. If you don't, then death is basically your prize for losing. So this sounds so interesting, and honestly it sounds like I'd really want to read and really like, and it's a dystopian, and I've really been getting into dystopians recently and I really do enjoy them, so my excuses are getting less and less recently to not read this, so I want to. And like, the sad thing is, I wish some of these I'd experienced when I was a little bit younger, because I just feel like I'd have carried it up with me, but because I didn't, I'm kind of having to do catch up and kind of maybe not make myself a bit younger to like really fully enjoy them, but that's not a problem because I'm going to do it. Okay, so the next one is the Darkest Mind series. This is like, everyone loves this one as well, and it also came out as a film adaptation, and I've seen like the trailer and I'm like, that looks so good, and I bet the book is even better, so why don't I get to it? This basically follows a girl called Ruby who like learns she has powers, and when you learn you have powers, it's like not good, so she gets sent to a rehabilitation center, and that's where the story kind of goes from. And it just sounds so good, and it's like these things, some of these books Like, for example, this one I never really did hear about when I was younger. I'm surprised the amount of time I spent in the library and like talking about books that this never came up. But when it did come up and I heard people talking about it, and I was like, wow, this sounds really, really good. Like, I really want to read this. So, like, hopefully I can get to it, and hopefully it'll be like good, you know, and I'll enjoy it, and I can report back being like, this is a popular book that deserves the hype. So yeah, if you haven't read it, check it out as well, because I just think it's kind of one of those books that's very universal. Like, no matter what you really like, you probably will like this one. Okay, the next one we'll talk about is the Lunar Chronicles. This is a series I actually have started. I've read Cinder and I enjoyed it. I just haven't continued. This is the first book on here that I would say is sci-fi, and sci-fi is one I often, like fantasy, withdraw from and don't really want to read. Not because I don't read good ones, just I find it a lot harder to read and a lot harder to digest. But this one was good. Like, Cinder is basically about this, it's like a Cinderella retelling, whereas Cinderella is a cyborg and she has to deal with the way cyborgs are treated in that kind of society that she lives in. Obviously, people are going to prefer humans over a cyborg. So I just thought that it was such a different kind of retelling. Like, retellings of Cinderella are normally very similar to the story, original story. They just put her in like a Monday like world and she has like a Monday job or something like that. But this is like so different, takes a whole different turn on the whole idea of fairy tale, that I think it's just such a good series. And if you haven't picked up Cinder, definitely you should. I can't recommend the rest of the series because I haven't read it, but Cinder was definitely a really solid read and I can't wait to get to the rest of the series. Okay, then next one is Shatter Me by Tyrann Mathieu. Okay, this series I know the least about it because I see it everywhere in the covers, I see people talking about it, but I never really hear people tell me what the plot is, and I never really know what actually goes down. Like, obviously I don't want spoilers, but I never really know the whole basis of the story. So I had to look it up on my Goodreads, but when I looked up, it said that it's basically about this girl called Juliet who has powers, and obviously any story where someone discovers their powers, there's repercussions, and there's people that are like, yeah, don't come near me, you are some like demon child, something like that. Like, that's what people always think when someone has powers. So I think this is basically a story about her trying to like battle, come to like terms with those powers and all that stuff. And honestly, I like the way Tyrann Mathieu writes. The only book I've ever read by her is A Very Large Expanse of Sea. I didn't love the story necessarily, but I did like the writing and appreciate that side of the story. So I'm excited to see what else she writes and how else she writes in a different kind of setting to what the other book was about. So yeah, I'm excited. I think I'm going to keep saying that because I'm just like, I always find it so exciting to start series. I'm not good at completing them, but I really enjoy starting them. Okay, the next series is another one that I've started and not been able to finish, and that is the Selection series. I've read the first one and honestly I loved the concept. It's basically about where the prince, when he's ready to get married, they have to look out into the kingdom to find him a wife. So they basically, people come forward and they kind of choose a certain number of girls that they think would be appropriate for the prince, and over time he whittles it down until he gets to one who will be his wife. This series, I thought it was so nice, and I love the perspective it follows. Like, the girl it follows, it's not one of those girls that's like, I want to marry the prince. It's one of those people that's like, yeah, I'm really not about this. Honestly, I'm just doing this so that my family can have a hope that I want to win, but like, I don't really want to marry the prince. And I kind of like that it took that perspective of the whole story. And honestly, so many people love this book, even people that don't really like this kind of thing normally, that when it involves royalty and stuff, they generally enjoy this book. So I'm excited and I hope I enjoy this book. You know, when you just like seeing everyone else's excitement just makes you more excited to read it, makes you want to read it more, and makes you more likely to pick it up. Okay, so those are the 7 popular series that I haven't read but really want to get to. Comment down below any popular series you haven't read, and comment down any opinions you have on these books that I mentioned. Remember to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!